it's theTUBE, it's the weekend, it's theTUBE's weekend edition. Yes, a lot went on this week, so let's revisit our biggest stories. Ready? Here we go. With me in the studio are our very own Twiddledee and Twiddledum, Shai Ringel and Amit Kling. How was your week, boys?
It was okay, but I have an image to maintain, so I'll go with miserable.
Miserable. Okay, your hair grew miserably.
It does.
Shai?
It's not going baldy.
Yeah.
Like none of us here, yes?
I don't know, somebody called me Twiddledum, so yeah. Not
No,
a very good.
I was Twiddledum. You can't steal my spotlight. Come on.
Take the Twiddledum.
Good vibes, here we go. Okay, this week was the week when Apple became the most profitable company ever. The tech giant's profits soared to $18 billion in the fourth quarter of 2014, rising on top of astounding iPhone 6 sales, and despite slowing iPad sales after 5 years of tablet dreams. Does this prove that Apple's closed garden approach won the game? And what does this power display mean for the rest of the tech world? So many questions, so little time. Shai, tell me, so what makes Apple so profitable?
Okay, at this point, I kind of don't know, I have to say. I'm an Apple fan. I admit that I'm a fanboy. I have all Apple products in my house. I love the closed garden approach when it comes to mobile and television and
Let's shortly explain what the closed garden approach is.
It means that you cannot, like on iPhone, you cannot install any app that is not Apple approved.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it a closed garden. That means that at the ecosystem of it all, Apple is the one that decides which apps can be on your phone and which doesn't. That means that you cannot put things that Apple don't fund upon, and that really worked for Apple because it made the iPhone itself a friendly user product.
Mm-hmm.
That means that my grandfather can use an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot, and that's something that not a lot of people thought that Apple can do, and they did it very well, and that's is the reason why iPhone is selling so much. Apple doesn't need its iPads anymore. It doesn't need any to sell a lot of Macs. 75% of its sales comes from the iPhone. That's huge, and we are not talking about the fact that Apple takes percentage from every app it sells.
Wow, so can anybody threaten this dominance?
It's a good question. It's always a pretty dumb man's game to go like, this is not going to happen. They're safe. Okay, nobody's safe. You know, this is we've seen crazy revolutions in this industry, but at this point, it would be pretty hard to budge those guys. Like, I think they would have to make some mistakes before it happens. You know,
They made mistakes,
but major ones.
Apple made mistakes in the last 3 years. But still nobody is budging them. Android is pretty big in developing countries and in the West, but still, it's unbelievable. That quarter, that profit they made, it's.
So let's talk for a minute about the tech industry. Okay, is this dominance bad for it? Is it good for it? What impact does it have?
It's bad. It's bad because it means that Apple can think of the competition as irrelevant and do whatever they want. At this point, Apple, what they did good was because of the competition, because Android was at the back, and because in some sort of Windows was at the back. Now Windows introduced Windows 10, and Apple needs to rethink maybe about its approach. And the game is going to change. In the next 2 years, we're going to see the game changing dramatically.
Why?
And a lot because of Windows 10. Windows 10 and the approach Windows 10 is going to bring, the fact that your operating system is the same one on your phone as it's on your PC. Mm-hmm. And PCs, we want to think of them as the thing of the past. They are still our future. Microsoft can bring the game back. I think Microsoft has the biggest chance to nudge Apple from its position right now.
Okay, well, we'll be here, hopefully alive and still technological, and we'll see who's going to conquer the world soon, or in a few years, not soon. Okay, this was the week when Google decided the Earth is not enough. The Mountain View tech giant has invested $1 billion in Elon Musk's space project SpaceX, planning to launch together a fleet of satellites to deliver internet around the world. But that's just half the story. Google is also supporting the Moonshot project, a challenge in which teams around the world are working to land a moving and transmitting vehicle on the moon. They even made a documentary about it, voiced by Buzz Lightyear.
When the Apollo 17 astronauts blasted off, most people thought we would return soon. But we didn't. Apollo hardware sits abandoned on the lunar surface for more than 40 years now, relics of another time. For many of us, the space race seems like ancient history. Some people miss the glory days of Apollo's explorations. Others think the missions never even happened. Children who once played at being astronauts have grown up, had children and even grandchildren of their own. Now, the next generation of explorers will make the journey.
Wow, extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go to space.
Let's go to space.
Let us,
So,
please.
I mean, what does Google want from outer space? I mean, investing $1 billion in Elon Musk's SpaceX project. What's going on?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's almost an egotism thing, like the way Google perceives itself. It has to be at the forefront of such a movement. It has to, it has to do with somewhat its values to a degree. And of course, they're investigating the potential. But
it's way into the future potential.
yes, way into the future potential. But
What's
these
the
guys are playing
potential?
ahead.
Help us
But
understand.
wait, beyond it, there's one thing I do want to mention, that the very fact that we need to see PR films about the need to go back to the moon kind of means that the public has very little interest in space exploration, and it exposes how much of a Cold War influenced bubble the whole space race ever was.
Okay, but still, what is the potential of, the moon for us human race?
There is a scientific potential, and of course, if you think about the fact that maybe we'll live on the moon someday, when Google are investing in the plan of Elon Musk, they are not investing in that silly plan of everybody living in space. They're saying scientists needs internet in outer space, and we're going to invest in it. Google is an American company. And as an American company, they still have that vision, that American dream of exploration, of going out of space, which what brought us the Cold War and space arm thing. And because they are such an American company, they want to push the idea of us Americans can do great things, can go to explore space. And because the American government won't do it, us, a private company, can do it. And they're saying, okay, people,
We're better than the
we're
government.
betting.
We are better than the government and its job, which is sort of I would say it's continuing like this whole new libertarian thought of
Yeah.
the government will never be as efficient as a private body.
Yeah.
The logic of capitalism creates an effective. That's the theory, of course. We know that's not the way it works.
Yes.
Yeah, so Google wants to say, okay, people, we gave you so much power with our search engine, so let's
houses.
let's go to space. Let's go outside. You, as a man, can do it. You don't need to think. You don't need to count on NASA to do things. Go do it. We'll put the money.
And the other side of it is, of course, 20 years in the future, people, we took you to space. Let us into your personal data. We're nice.
Okay, well, I like the moon. I think it's romantic. Okay, this was the week when the Sundance Film Festival was invaded by virtual reality. Facebook's Oculus Rift presented its Oculus Story division, whose simple goal is to make movies for the dawning virtual reality era. Check out their story.
When we started Oculus, we really thought that the major focus for VR was going to be games. Now that the Rift is sort of maturing as a technology, and really virtual reality on the whole, the potential is really there to take people to these virtual worlds.
We are seeing the birth of a completely new medium. Storytelling in VR is much more complex. It's kind of a three-dimensional storytelling. There's multiple things going on at the same time.
What would it be like to be in an arena with the matador and the bull as they're sparring? You are seeing that dust get kicked up in your face. Adrenaline is pumping. You tend to only remember the details that you need to know, and everything else goes fuzzy around you. We're going to embrace that.
Could we build an environment that was so real? Could we really make you feel you're there? Crawling around and getting your head right up close to the plants and really feeling that sense of scale, and then, oh my God, what is that?
Wow, okay. On top of that, Vice News, together with film director Spike Jonze and digital art genius Chris Milk, announced at Sundance the release of an app called Verse, a distribution platform for VR journalism. What's that? Well, that's exactly the question. So, Shai, the idea of virtual reality journalism is growing, and Spike Jonze is a big name to help it grow, but what does it actually mean?
It means that they'll recreate stories in virtual reality and will put you inside the story. You will not only be that viewer that read the story from afar. You will be involved in the story. A news organization hopes that this will finally bring people to understand the news and what they are talking about when it comes to world events.
But this is, I think this is not the crazy twist that this tech revolution proposes, because if you give it some thought, the way I see it, the real twist is that it suggests, in fact, if you have a dynamic VR environment to view news in, that means we're talking about shooting real life events panoramically, right? And that changes the whole concept of perspective in journalism. Yeah. And, he was talking about the matador and the bull. Yeah, that's nice. But let's think about the cop and the protester in this context. You finally get, you remember that the cops in Ferguson or whatnot did not want to be wearing cameras? So consider a journalist with a panoramic camera giving it the wide perspective that nobody can say, oh, he only shoots this out of context. Here it is. It comes packaged with the context.
What I don't understand,
now.
I know it's not exactly what we're talking about, is that me as a consumer, okay? Yeah. For me to view something panoramically, I'll need to move around.
Yeah, and you'll move around.
Where? There's a table here, there's a chair here, there's, my apartment. I mean, I can't
imagine. How is your apartment?
No. You'll have a joystick. You'll have a joystick to move around. You'll need to move around your head to view everything, and you'll have a joystick.
I can sit with a joystick and just. I would just imagine.
It's like a video game, and a lot of people are playing video games, and they already know how to do it. A lot of people know that they need the joystick to move around their feet, and another joystick to move around their head.
It's like what we're talking about. We're talking about gamification.
Yeah, it's a gamification for everything.
So is this future real close?
Yeah.
Quite so.
That means that we're gonna each have our own Oculus Rift type of headset.
A lot of us going to have it, and it's going to grow and grow. I already tried.
I'm still paying for my Kinect. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I tried the Oculus Rift and the latest version of the Oculus Rift. It works. It works fantastically. It really puts you into a new environment. And you're going to have a crazy, crazy time with it.
Okay, wow, sounds amazing.
I'm going to be doing nothing else.
We're moving on. We're moving on. Okay, looking at other Facebook profiles has become somewhat of a sport for, a lot of people. And now those people have an official anthem with College Humor's new Facebook stalker song, Thing It.
I stayed up till 5 a.m. again. For Facebook stalking my more successful friends. Jack's got a house, Jane's in Tangier. I made $11,000 last year. Your girlfriend's a 10 and mine's not even real. Facebook stalking my more successful friends. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Jeff just got cast on an HBO show. I'm on my ass watching HBO Go, but I can't pay attention cause I'm checking my phone. Facebook stalking my more successful friend.
Stalking is lovely. Okay, that's it. This show is over. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you very much, Shai. Thank you very much, Amit. Thank you for watching. And always remember, life begins in the end of your comfort zone. That's